So this is going to be another movie review. This one's called Hank Gather's Story, Final Shot, 1992. Another television movie. I'll give it a 5 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed this flick. It starts out as a Horatio Alger kind of rags to riches story. But then it changes pace real quick into a real tearjerker. I had to admit that I was crying towards the end. It's a pretty interesting story about college basketball star. Excuse me. Hank Gathers. He had some kind of weird heart issues. They don't mention that his mother sued both Loyola Marymount and the physicians who were taking care of Hank Gathers before he collapsed and died on the court, which was captured by ESPN, by the way. Snuff film, I guess you'd call it. And kind of an interesting story about a kid who grew up in the ghetto in northern Philadelphia. It's where that Nicholas Michael Jacobs makes all of his films. And I guess back in the 70s, he was playing street ball. He thought he was hot stuff. Even when he was a kid, he thought he was going to make the NBA. And it was kind of interesting because they also don't mention this movie that Bo Kimball is hotshot star teammate. They grew up together. He ended up becoming a bust in the NBA, and he even contemplating committed suicide as a result of his failure in the NBA. So just because you make it in the NBA doesn't mean that you're going to be like Meadowlark Lemon or Michael Jordan or something. So that was kind of interesting when I researched Bo Kimball, and not to mention the lawsuits that his mother, Hank Gather's mother, filed. Did a little research on it. It's kind of interesting. I think my grandfather went to Loyola. Anyways, Hank Gathers likes to be on the team for George Kennedy, who opens up the gym to him all the time. He's really determined kid, not so good in math, but he's a great basketball player, college anyway. Would have been interesting to see how he fared in NBA. They probably wouldn't have played with Bo Kimball, but would have been interesting especially if the two had somehow managed to land on the same team, which is highly unlikely, but maybe through a trade or something it could have happened. It's one of those what if kind of scenarios. And I wonder if Bo Kimball's failure would have actually ended up happening to Hank Gathers. Kind of interesting. They're in the movie. They're kind of portrayed as equals in terms of basketball talent. So I tend to think that Hank Gathers would have failed in the NBA also, even if he was picked high in the draft. And I think Bo Kimball was number 8 in the lottery. And the ironic part is that Hank Gathers tells Bo Kimball to say lottery when they're sharing a dorm room doing pillow talk, I guess. So Hank Gathers and Bo Kimball both decide to go to USC. They fight a lot for the ball prior to that, and they come to a mutual agreement in the locker room to help each other and be more like team players. And that's when they really start to take off. Then they get to USC and they sit on the bench. The coach is terrible, and they're fed up. So they go to Loyola Marymount. The coach's former NBA guy who wants them to play really athletic form of street ball. His philosophy is to get the ball to the hoop. It's really simple, he says. And that's when Hank Gathers and Bo Kimball become big-time stars in college basketball. They start setting all kinds of records and in terms of points scored, that sort of thing. And great movie. I really enjoyed it. I'm not a big sports fan. I used to be, but even when I was, I never paid any attention to college basketball. I think my grandfather was more into the college basketball stuff. I was more into professional basketball, the Golden State Warriors and stuff like that. So I never paid any attention to this, but I'm glad I revisited it now that I kind of ignored it all these years. It's definitely one of those inspirational kind of tearjerker, dichotomy kind of movies. I don't know. You have to check it out. Highly recommend it. I'll try to look for it. The movie and the trailer are both, so I can post it in the description box later.